Hello, it's Sunday, 27th of April, and I'm getting on here today, Sunday, because I like to share when I have a good night. It's kind of like I said, my channel is like a dear diary for me in a way, only public. Cheers. Not using the special cup. Want to preserve it for a while. I want to talk about my show last night, but a couple of observations about popular culture. So my television, like a lot of people, is the internet, and so YouTube is one of my main channels. And I notice how everything is trendy, but the latest trend, and I almost feel like, in a way, I'm a part of why it's happening, is I'm seeing these channels where they're doing these lists, 10 bands from the past you never heard of, or bands who, even rock history music out of Canada has jumped on the bandwagon. It feels like a bandwagon. Not a bad thing. I'm just noticing, though, it's kind of like clickbait, where people are talking more about what they consider obscure bands from the past that people should know about. And sure enough, there's a lot of copying already where people are talking about the same bands. It's like, Stray and Ainsley Dunbar, and it's cool because these are not household names. But man, they can go further. But I've been watching them. It's a bit of clickbait, but I have watched enough of them now to see where they're all pretty much copycatting each other. This one guy here, the Album Review channel, I enjoy him probably the most. And I actually respond to him. The most overlooked bands from the 70s you must hear. That's a series he's doing. And I respond to him because so far he's only uncovered 2 bands that I didn't know about. Almost everything else he's shown, I have. So much for obscure as far as I'm concerned. Cheers, people. But back to it was my second show this year at Project, where I'm improvising with other musicians. It was another wonderful night. It wasn't as well attended as the first night, but what was interesting is repeat people. I saw people who were at my show at Grapefruit who came to this one and came to me afterwards and said that's why they came. I didn't know these people. But the program was 2 groups of people in 3 configurations. And the first one was this vocalist who I'd never met from Lincoln, Benjamin Gear, along with the drummer Phil Smith, who I'm now playing with in the other configurations. That was a revelation. It was intense. It was fantastic. And this guy really, it's wow. I mean, he can do the tubin throat singing where you can produce 2 and 3 notes at the same time out of your throat. But he also did this other guttural stuff, not unlike Diamanda Galas and other folks who work with their voice and vocalese. It was intense. And Phil Smith as a drummer, I really like him. He's really good. And he understands improvisation really well. I've heard him play several times now besides playing with him. He's not messing around. I love it, and he keeps things moving, but very sensitive, knowing when to just not do anything, which I think is crucial. So that's how the night started off. Then we had 2 groupings. The second was me, pianist Stacy Barilos, and Kyle Jessen, who organizes these improvs on saxophone. And Stacy is classically trained. I looked her up even more before the show. I'm familiar with her for years, and I've played on shows with her before, but this was the first time we played together. I found her CD online where she's doing Henry Cowell on piano. She's masterful. So, I mean, she's really good. So the second configuration was me, Stacy, and Kyle, and that went well. It was brooding at first, not explosive. Um, Even became a little bit melodic at times, thanks to Stacy. I just followed her there. Kyle on saxophone is following the free jazz tradition where you're using the saxophone almost percussively a lot of the time. He's getting good at it. It was the third configuration of the night, the final configuration that was the corker. That's when all of us played together, including the throat singer Benjamin Gear, and that ignited. Everything is recorded, so we'll see if I get a copy of this or if they put it online. I'll point you to it. But that was like, whoa, yeah. We got to a point where it's like we're building, let go, let it go, and we did. It exploded. It did. Just for maybe a minute, it lasted, where it was sparks were flying. And everybody was not only playing hard, but still listening, which is so important. You can get to a point where you're making a cacophony, and you lose it. It just becomes a big mess. That didn't happen last night. It was thrilling. We had a small audience, but the audience caught it. It's pretty cool that there is an audience in Omaha for improvised music and noise. So, of course, I had to make Benjamin's acquaintance after we were all done. Mutual respect. I'm knocked out by how many people know about my reputation. But I had to ask him about what he was doing because I said, you kind of blew me away. I said, I didn't know anybody in here did that thing, and you really can do it. Consequently, as a result, excuse me, I'll be doing another show in June there with Jay Kramer, the instrument builder who travels the world doing workshops on making instruments. That came about last night, so happy about that. I wanted to share that with you. It was a good night. It was a real good night. My other observation, though, about things in general was, on my way home, I not only felt it in the air, but I observed it. The general tension in the atmosphere in this country, in my hometown. I can't quite describe beyond that, except that it was palpable that things are on edge, and you just look around. Excuse me, I looked at people. There were several situations where there was a big accident, and it just felt like things are on the edge of chaos. And I'm not imagining it. Just wanted to make that observation. I was so glad to get home. For a minute, I was thinking about going to a fast food restaurant to grab a quick bite. And as I was trying to get there, it was so difficult because of all traffic problems and stuff happening on the street, I said, I'm going home. These are unwell times. Unwell. There's no way to deny it. The world is unwell, and our country in particular, really unwell. So, to move on to a little more music. Cheers, people. No record buying. But I did remark this. I noticed the price of eggs at the grocery store yesterday, and it's like, geez. I hardly bought anything, and it was over $50. Like, this is ridiculous. So the other day, I was showing you all my pair of Ubu, I thought. And I was on Discogs because I use that to catalog my stuff. And I went to my Pair Ubu section looking up some information, and it showed that I had another album that I didn't think I had. So when I initially saw it in the list, I deleted it because I don't have that. But then I had to think about it for a day, or it kept popping up in my head. I said, well, take a look, Dereck. I do have it. The Tenement Year by Per Ubu. This is another good one. Chris Cutler from Henry Cow is on drums, as well as Scott Krause, okay? And so I had to play this right away. This is a reissue. This is there's very good reason why Per Ubu and David Thomas are so highly regarded. Like when David Thomas's death was reported a couple days ago, my feed was pure David Thomas and Per Ubu. And depending, because, you know, I'm a music lover and most of the folks I follow were into music, depending on who died, you'll see that. But there's been a few folks recently, big names, and that didn't happen. Per Ubu are very highly respected and loved, and for good reason. So that was a nice discovery. It's like, oh wow. But that's the case with this with my collection, is that there's stuff to be rediscovered that I keep forgetting about. I had a night listen, an interesting one last night, because I was, you know, kind of hyped. So it took me a while to fall asleep. But several years ago, probably the year of this, 2015, this fella sent me a bunch of his music. What is his first name? Taylor's Universe. Taylor's Universe. What's his first name? Taylor's Universe. Across the Universe. An Introduction to Taylor's Universe. He sent me several of his titles. And what can happen when people send you a lot of stuff is that you kind of cursorily listen to everything to get an idea, and then you file it. And that's what happened here. So last night I decided to I just grabbed it off the shelf and put it on. And this will fool you. The first track, Salon Bleu 2015, is almost sounds like a pastiche of lounge music, but not serious. But at the same time, it's like, why are they doing this? It's very cheesy. So it sets you. If you last through it, which I did because I'm in bed. It sets you up for the surprise. The next track is full blown prog. You know what I mean when I say the word prog. Firestone. And it's good. It's not great, but it's good. You hear the through lines of stuff like Colosseum and King Crimson and stuff like that. And this was interesting because it kept waking me back up because, you know, it's like I kept it loud enough last night so I was listening consciously and fell asleep, and then it would wake me back up. But the thing is, every time it would be like, what am I listening to? Because it's all over the place. This is pretty interesting. Taylor's Universe. Across the Universe. It's prog. It's good. A couple other things that got played this last couple of days. This yesterday, as I was getting ready to go to the gig, just for the, you know, hadn't played it forever. And when this came out, I played it to death and learned most of the songs. Porcupine Tree, Deadwing. I have it on vinyl, but I just grabbed this for convenience and played the CD. Now, interestingly, this album is not that old, and yet as I listened to it, there was that feeling of like, this is music from my past. There's an aspect of this music that sounds kind of like teenage in a way. It's rock music, you know, like it's looking for a young audience. So it's got this rockism stuff on it, but it's really good. And when the album came out, I was just in love with it. So I listened to most of this yesterday, Deadwing. And then the other day, just grabbing randomly, I grabbed this single because I remember when it came out, I played it a lot and I'd forgotten why. System 7, Steve Hillage from Khan, Arzakal, Gong. Steve Hillage with his partner Marette Garadi. Habibi, this is a single. But the deal is the main song, Habibi, is not what I like. It's the third instrumental, Miracle, that I think is really tight. Now, Steve Hillage's guitar playing is throughout the thing, which is always, I love his playing. Very distinct style. But it's the instrumental that's like, oh, that's good. It's good. I wanted to share that stuff with you folks. Other than that, looking ahead, I do have already 2 more gigs for the fall. Well, one is all the way in October anyway. So I've been in touch with my former bandmate Scudder, who we've been nominated this year in Iowa and Nebraska to the Rock and Roll Halls of Fame. And so at first the leader of the band, Jeff, who is getting up there and had some serious health problems in recent years, which is also partly why we stopped playing, besides my disappointment in their politics. At first, when he found out that Scudder's being inducted in the Hall of Fame, which includes me, he wasn't interested in playing. He wasn't feeling so good. But that's changed. And so, as a result, we are now scheduled to play at both ceremonies here in Omaha and in Iowa. And for Omaha, we're the feature. We're the headliner of the ceremony. We'll be the featured band of the night. So I'm happy about that. That's 2 more gigs. And it'll be interesting to reconnect with these folks in person. I love these guys. Won't be any walking on eggshells. Whatever we talk about and whatever I feel like bringing up is what's going to happen, I love these guys. If we're mature, we can handle our differences. I'm still at the point where if I feel like talking about, politics with them, I will. Because they're my friends. I love these people. That's what I have to share. I'm not going to do a poll. Okay? Have a good Sunday, folks. All right? Whatever else is on my mind, it's not there now. Oh, I will say this, yeah. Jack Brisello, who's in New York, and I think he has a radio show. I think it's probably a small community station, probably somewhere in New York. But I see that he's playing my stuff along with... I made his acquaintance because it appears that he's friends with Dave Newhouse of the Muffins, and he plays them often on his radio show. Stuff like that. Prague. So I love the fact that he's including me on his... that he's playing my music. Let me see if I can see what's on here. He hasn't sent me a list, but I'm going to be on the radio again this week on Tuesday on his WAYO in Rochester, New York. Very cool. Okay, that's what I have for you today, folks. Take care.